Hello everyone, Professor Bailey here. Yep, I've kind of been missing in action for a while, and basically since I've retired, it's hang out a lot, play golf with the wife, and enjoy that time together. But I watch the races on Saturday most of the time, and it interests me this kid they call Jett. Um, I don't know what nickname you give this kid. Uh, it's going that fast other than Jett. There's been a lot of Jetts out there, but there's certainly never been one like this. He's definitely not a 737 carrying passengers and luggage around. He's actually more of NASA's X-43 new experimental model. I think that's where this kid is. And so the idea of this video was what I'm seeing and the writing style that I'm seeing. And I haven't heard, I don't do a lot of social media, but I haven't heard anybody talking about why this kid is so good and what's making him so good. That's the point of my video. I've always been the guy that's kind of, yeah, I know I'm older and they say the old guys don't know what they're talking about, but I think I do. I've always looked at riders and studied every little move that they make and try to figure out what makes one rider better than the rest on any given weekend or during the year. And that's what this video is about. So, hey, it's just my opinion. It's what I see. So, hey, sit back and check it out. Yeah, Jett Lawrence, this is what most of the competition has been seeing. Not many of them even get this close to be able to see this part. What makes this kid so good? That's what I want to focus on. And yes, the majority of them have probably seen more of this right here than actually been able to read the jersey. Watching this kid ride will make you in awe. But you know what? It's not about the bike, it's about the rider. It's about the body position, and he's not the first one to have ridden this way. We can go back to Joel Roberts, who rode CZ, had a factory Suzuki ride, and won several world championships. It's about staying in the middle of the bike and letting the bike work underneath you. But he's not the only one. There was Marty Tripes. Marty Tripes would come out. You know, he didn't train a lot, but he was fast. And then there was the other number 18. Kid I worked with for a long time, Davey Millsaps, riding in the middle of the bike, letting the bike work underneath him. Again, one of the fastest in the whoops. Why? Because of body position.
Look at how far forward Jeremy rides on the motorcycle. Look at his head's almost over the handlebars. You can look at his front number plate almost, and that's that aggressive riding style that's worked so well for him in the Supercross, and now it's starting to pay off in the outdoors.
I think McGrath was the first to figure out that riding in the middle of the motorcycle works the best. Let the bike work for you. Lead the bike. Don't follow the bike. Lead it. I was going to say, how about my favorite student here, Travis? But I guess my favorite would have to be my son, David. How about Travis Pastrana? Head over the front end of the bike, legs straight most of the time, staying centered on the bike, letting the motorcycle work underneath him all the time. That's where you need to be, in the middle of the bike. I try to tell other riders this, and they go, well, that's just his riding style. Well, he's tall, so he has to ride that way. That's not true. Anybody can ride this way. Every time you stand up, try to stay in the middle of the bike. Make sure you ride on the balls of your feet more. When you come to the whoops, keep the gas on, keep the bike flat, and it's going to work for you. Being in the middle of the bike, look at how well balanced he is. He can do anything he wants by simply moving back. Oh, by the way, if you're going to do a stand-up wheelie, you're on the balls of your feet, your legs are straight, your head's over the front end and lift. Well, we all know how important the start is, so you better be getting one, because if this kid Jett Lawrence gets the whole shot, we can pretty much say goodbye to the rest of the field. Yeah, occasionally there's going to be a rider that gets a second chance going into that next turn, be able to get on the inside, but how long can he stay there? There are several things involved in going faster, and the number one key thing is how to carry a better momentum through each section that you're on. So, how do you do that? Well, in any section, the less your suspension compresses, the less it's going to rebound. And that means more forward momentum. So from the entrance of this corner, the riders were almost dead even. By the end of this section, Jett is almost 3 bike lengths ahead in this one section, one straightaway. And now Cooper goes for the big triple going into the corner, gains a lot of time, gets on the inside. Mistake, mistake, mistake. Why didn't he stay laid over and just use Lawrence as a berm? Clipping the top of any jump is not good. It slows forward momentum. The suspension compresses more and it kicks up more. This is where I like Jett Lawrence. When he comes in, keeps the bike perfectly flat, skips on, skips off. Even pulling the front end up too high where the front end slaps down is another loss of forward momentum. And here I like that he uses a little bit more of the inside line to save a little bit of racetrack. Once again, watch Cooper's rear wheel clip the top of the jump while Jett lands smoothly on the down ramp. I just think that his entire body position and the way he comes in and lands everything nearly perfect is really important. Forward momentum. It's all about more forward momentum. Compression of the forks. You can even see how much that Cooper lost right there when those forks compressed so hard. It was almost a little bit of a stop action when you watch it in slow-mo. Again, Cooper, lay the bike over here. If you're going to get in there and make the commitment, lay the bike over. The guy has to be a berm. Otherwise, this is what's going to happen. And it doesn't need to be a full bam bam move either. So let's go back to Daytona. Just being in the middle of the motorcycle allows you to do everything so much easier. And you and the bike become one. It's important that you stay in the middle of the bike so that the bike is perfectly balanced. Just let the bike work underneath you. Use the power whenever you can to do something that's really cool and creative. When you're in the middle of the bike, you can afford to have little problems, the bike to be a little bit upset, but it's not going to upset the rider. The whole idea is let the bike do the work for you and save energy. And the more you're in the middle of the bike, you can see how he can control everything that happens, even in the sand, where the sand has a tendency to take control of you. Everything he's doing is with ease. It looks like he's floating over everything, or other riders are pounding through it. Most of the time, he'll keep the bike a little bit flatter, and he'll actually float over the top of stuff rather than doing a wheelie where the back end slams into it. Anywhere you can learn to float the bike, the better it's going to be. You can't and you're not going to beat this guy until you become who he is. And I don't think that any of the riders today are willing to make that change. I think they're comfortable with the ride the way that they are doing it. And you're going to have to race with him for more than a couple of corners or a couple of laps if you're going to beat him. So we're going to watch the Jett do a hot lap. He's down in 10th place. Roxon's the guy on top of the board. So Jett's going to lay this lap down. Just pay attention to his body position and how he can change and put the bike where he wants to when there's deep ruts. And he lands flat on top of all the tabletops. So there's not a lot of suspension compressed. He just powers off the top of it. How he can work the bike, no matter what the situation is. This track is a mess. There's ruts everywhere. But he manages to work it. Cuts back to the inside, save a little racetrack. Doesn't spend any time following anybody. Yeah, there's other people on the racetrack while he's doing this hot lap again. Look at the tabletop, how flat his bike is. That's all forward momentum. Way to go, Jett. That's showing the boys how it's done. So let's see that lap again. Only this time we're going to slow it down a little bit. Nice little scrub, whip off the top of this jump. Keep the bike low, settle where he wants to go. Runs to the top of the berm, carrying as much momentum as he can possibly carry coming around this corner. Nice double off the top, bike perfectly, landing on the downside as it should be. Staying in the middle of the bike with his head forward. Another nice smooth jump, landing on the down ramp. Another one, perfectly on the down ramp again. Comes into the corner, cutting it a little bit tight here, trying to save a little bit of racetrack. Again, perfectly on the downside, nose down, rear wheel clears it. This one he clips it just a little bit on the top. You can kind of see the suspension rebound a little bit there more than normal. Here he over jumps it just a bit. So how's this? He's not even worried about the ruts. He comes off of one rut, crosses over, lands in another rut like it's nothing. But it's perfect. Then lands with his leg out. Looking good, looking good. Don't lock that leg in, because if it catches the ground, it's going to be a problem. Keep a little bit of bend in it, even though your foot's out. Here we are, perfect landing on top of the jump. Both wheels, same time, power on. Nice corner. You have to have the leg a little bit high, laying the bike over quite a bit there. Standing up, coming into this corner. I like that. I also like that most of the time he has his finger on the clutch so that he's ready at any time he needs to use it to build the right kind of power. He wheelies over the top of this bump. Going to set the wheel down. Left-hand turn, another nice corner. Look at the head again, it's forward. Good leg extension because the fact that the rut is so deep. Another rut, landing on the downside perfectly again. That's all forward momentum. Another jump, landing on the downside again. Power on. Same thing again. Bike angle perfect, landing on the downside. Getting all the forward momentum he can. Once again, same thing, nothing any different. Comes into the corner. This is the first Tomac look that I've had. This is where the head's inside, turned inside a little bit to kind of help turn the bike. Nice scrub off the top of this one. By the way, while we're looking at him, Tomac has always been my guy. I always liked everything Tomac did. But this kid comes along and he's doing things that Tomac's not doing. And I love this. I just love his aggression. I love his body position. I love the perfection in which he rides. He doesn't let the ruts bother him at all. Again, a little over jump, not too bad. Lands on the power. Again, runs the outside so he can carry a whole lot of momentum. A lot of speed coming around the corner. Head forward, coming off the jump on the balls of his feet. Lands a tabletop again perfectly. Looking really good. Another perfect downside. Momentum, momentum, momentum. Nice rut all the way around the corner, being loose. Coming into this left-hander, looks good. Standing up a little bit, head kind of over the front end. Leg extension coming into the corner, sighting where he wants to go. Goes to the outside, in case that rider made a little bit of a mistake. Laid over nicely, very aggressive. And here we are at the finish line. Looking good. Good job, Jett Lawrence. Oh yes, by the way, that would be Jett Lawrence at the top of the board. Want to beat this guy? You're going to have to make some changes, or it's not going to happen. And before I wrap up here, I did mention that I was a Tomac fan. Well, this guy, Ryan Villapoto, I loved watching him ride. I thought he was almost perfect. The only reason I say almost is because he didn't dominate and win everything every week. And you know, as far as Webb goes, of course I'm a Webb fan. After we worked together for 9 years before he moved on to the 450 class. So, hey guys, may the best man win. All right, so let's talk about Jett Lawrence and what people don't see.
Well, I think a lot of people can see that he's good, but specifically, you know, I always look at it, and you taught me from the beginning to try and understand what it is you're looking at and understand why things work and why they don't. Not just gas it and try to get faster a little at a time. Like slow down a little bit and try to make this fun and easier, maybe a little safer, and you'll be more comfortable. And from there, then you can be a little bit more aggressive because it's not quite as scary. And so I see that in Jett. I saw it early on, but on the 250, I wasn't really wowed like everyone was, and was actually kind of annoyed by it, to be honest. Like, he's amazing. I'm like, I don't see it yet. I'll decide, And then there were a couple times where I think Millville on the 250, and then again this year on the 450 and second moto Budds Creek, where I saw little flashes of raw speed and just amazing creativity at looking at the track in a different way, because he's so skilled that he can put the bike wherever he wants, whenever he wants. So he's able to look at things perhaps a little bit differently than others, where they're just kind of gassing it and trying to do things with strength and effort. And he makes it look so much easier. And I think that's what people saw when they watched me is, man, you make it look easy and it doesn't even look that fast. They were talking about Hannah and Johnson, and we saw that with Carmichael versus McGrath. McGrath made it look fun and easy, and Ricky made it look fast and maybe a tad scary. And so Jett it seems like he has put these things together, whether he observed them all and did it consciously or not, I don't know, but it appears as though he's pretty observant by being in Europe, coming from Australia, then to America. He's seen a lot of stuff. And when we traveled around and you were teaching schools, I saw a lot of different states, riders, tracks, dirt, weather. And I became pretty versatile and able to adapt to things. And I think Jett probably has some of that from all of the perspectives he's had. And on the 250, he was just kind of getting going. But when he got on the 450 and had more power, and he's in the premier class where I think he always felt like he should be. Maybe when he was on the 250, he got a little lazy at times and made silly mistakes. And he's even said that about himself this year on the 450. But now that he's in the premier class on the bike with power, all that he's been learning and observing over his career so far, now we're watching that unfold. And it's really cool because he seems to be getting better like every weekend and learning a little bit. And it's just from a simple fundamental of standing in the right place on the bike, having your arms out and your body pretty centered. And from there, you can kind of operate and react to whatever happens, and it doesn't catch you off guard. It doesn't catch him off guard. And I think his finger's on the clutch a lot as well. So he's just doing everything right, which makes it look easy.
And what's interesting, let me chime in there. You just talked about the clutch. When I was looking at him, particularly on the 250 and a little bit, I think right when he got on the 450, I did not see that finger on the clutch that much, and I was kind of questioning it. And then now I do. Now I see it on there a lot. And I think I even heard Chad Reed say something about the fact that he was concerned because he didn't have his finger on the clutch to help and prevent things and control the power. And James gave him a real funny look, like, well, I never had my finger on the clutch. But Chad didn't go there and elaborate on that.
Right. Well, the 250, I mean, from the days when I was riding a Works 250cc two-stroke, these 250 four-strokes make more power than mine used to, which, like, when I first heard that, I'm like, wow, I didn't realize they were that fast. So you can maybe get away with not having to use the clutch or have your finger out there, but on the 450, I think Jett's sharp enough to recognize that you should try it. And perhaps maybe having Johnny O in his corner, maybe he suggested, maybe use the clutch a little bit, or it just became necessary because you had so much more power. But that extra power enabled him to be creative. Like, he can look at a track and go, with the skill that I have, I think I can wheel tap this from not the bump everyone else is hitting, but the one after it, and jump even further into something. And he has that 450 power where he can just blip it and get all the way across something. And he's very creative like that. I've heard his dad say, outside of the riding, he's not the sharpest tool in the shed, but not in those exact words, but
Yeah.
threw him under the bus a little bit. And then, but he goes, on the motorcycle, he knows what he's doing. And so you taught me that right off the bat, to don't just go out there and do it and cross your fingers and hope it works out. Like, think about it. And then, because you were doing the schools, sometimes you'd ask me to chime in and stuff. And I was young and not as good as some of the students, but I was able to teach and understand what I was doing and show everybody in the school, hey, you can do it on a mini bike as well, or whatever. So I was thinking about what I was doing a lot. And perhaps Jett, watching his brother and being in Europe, he got to see a lot. And I relate to that. And I also relate to people saying, hey, you make it look easy. I don't know that our styles are the same, but the simplicity of just being in the right place on the motorcycle makes everything so much more accessible.
Elaborate on what the right place is. Like, what exactly are we seeing that others aren't seeing?
I look at the balance first. Maybe I think Hannah was the first guy I recognized had really good balance and just really quick reflexes and instincts. But he was so good at that it overrode his ability to really ride smoother. So with Jett, he's so balanced, like a trials rider. If you just watch them kind of riding around, getting ready to go up a big waterfall or some crazy stuff they do, that their position on the motorcycle is extremely important. And Jett's kind of standing on his motorcycle the same way, like when he's taking a sight lap, just standing comfortably, like you'd be standing around in line or something. You don't stand with your legs bent or anything or hunched over. You just stand like you could stand all day. Jett looks that comfortable and balanced. And with his legs a little straighter like that, and on the balls of his feet, elbows not necessarily up but out, away from him, finger on the clutch, head kind of forward. He does look down a little bit for my taste, but it's forward. And he can do anything from there. If he needs to just do a wheelie, he's in a position to just lift the front end right up. He's got traction on the front end. He's got traction on the rear end. He can do everything from there. I don't think it has anything to do with having your butt back or your hips locked or unlocked. I've heard stuff, and I've never even thought of that when I raced. And I don't know that Jett does either. He's just standing on the bike comfortably and balanced like a trials rider, except he's not going 10 miles an hour. He's going fast.
Yeah, fast, very fast.
And it seems to have made it a priority to understand riding the motorcycle so that it's fun. And if you see him, he looks like he's having a blast. And when you watch him ride, it looks like he's having a blast. And it reminds me of that Winnie the Pooh cartoon where that Tigger that would just bounce around and laughing and trying to cheer everybody up. That's what Jett looks like out there. Like, it's fun and pretty easy. And if you understand the fundamentals and you don't get too off on some, tangents of what you're supposed to be doing out there, and you just stick to the fundamentals of being in the right place on the bike, it just is going to be easier for you. The odds are you're going to make less mistakes. You're going to get caught off guard a lot less. And you just can start building confidence from there. And he's accomplished it without making it, like cross your fingers and hang it out. He's completely under control unless he needs to hurry up for a half a lap or so, and then you can see it. He can just reel a guy in like a half a lap because he's already comfortable. And from there, it's easy to just toss in a little burst of speed.
Well, here's what I've already talked about, and I want to kind of have you agree or disagree. What I think he's good at, and it's because of his body positioning, he very seldom clips the top of anything. And when you clip the top of something and your suspension compresses just a little bit when it should already be set and settled, he, like on tabletops, he jumps up, he lands flat and just kind of hops off the top, like a little bunny hop right off the top of it. Where other riders kind of pull the front end up, and some tag the jump a little bit. They either jump a little too far, they jump a little bit too short. And I think he's way better consistent with doing that where others aren't.
Yeah, his control of the motorcycle in the air through ruts and things is so good that it's very difficult, I think, for people that haven't ridden before and experienced what it's like to pick out. But since I've done it, it's easy to see that Jett's control of the bike in the air and around the track all times is so good that he doesn't ever hit stuff where it's abrupt and upsets the bike and his balance. And so I think a lot of riders just, land, they'll scrub something, but still kind of clip the backside or too much at the top of a jump. And not only is it a little bit slower, but it's less perfect.
And it takes more energy also.
Yeah, it upsets the bike. It's a little bit more abrupt and a little bit less fun. I thought, hey, if I can clear it perfectly, then why not just clear it perfectly? And if I didn't, I would make a mental note of that in my head for the next lap. Like, hey, don't come up a little short there again, because that messes you up, and then you can't get your leg out for the turn in time. And Jett's ahead of that, and he doesn't make those little mistakes. I think maybe it's more fun to him. It looks like it, to just do everything better.
And do you agree? And do you agree that should he tag the top of something with the body position that he has, that it's not gonna really upset the motorcycle much, but it's not gonna affect him at all?
Right. By clearing everything as perfectly as he does, it's having an awareness that, hey, I'm going to come up a tad short, and even though it's no big deal and I got good suspension and everything, wouldn't it be better if I just made it more perfect? Less wear and tear on you. And it builds confidence, because you can put the bike exactly in the spot you want on that little piece of traction. And if you see that piece of traction going away and you need to scoot to the right, a tire width per lap of the main, he's able to do it that exact, because it matters to him. He's not just going around the track. He's going around the track as efficient and fun and precise and as possible. And we're watching it unfold. Like, this is what it looks like when somebody takes it really serious and finds the right blend. I've noticed another guy that's doing things that's very similar to Jett Lawrence, and that's Jorge Prado. I got a glimpse of him and warming up Supercross before he ever decided. He just came over to try it, and there was a clip of him. It was only a lap, and I was just drawn to it immediately, because he's makes it look easy. He's aggressive everywhere. He came out of a right-hand bull turn, and he was standing on the gas in a slide, and I'm like, man, this guy's got amazing control over the motorcycle, same as Jett. But the thing he does a little bit different is he puts a little bit more body English into it, like where Jett holds a little bit more still. Prado seems like he's weaving the bike around a little bit more. Like you said, in the schools, you would have the riders sit there and be like, oh, tell me this, guys. Are you in control? And it's like, I don't know, until something happens. So you had to move the bike just a little bit side to side, just get a little flow going. It's like, okay, same question. Are you in control? Well, yeah, I completely am in control. And it seems like Prado does that, which is real simple. I mean, you were teaching this in the early, I learned it right away, and now I'm seeing it resurface, because for a while it was just elbows down, head down, off the back, gas it. or just be strong and make it work. But now we're seeing some finesse out of Jett and Prado, and I like it personally because it's not so scary, and I think that makes people excited about the sport and want to get involved.
When you watch Jett, that very seldom do you ever see something scary, even if it has a quad.
Yep. Yeah, he's jumped some. He's done. I was like, he's not as amazing as Stewart. Like, quit acting like he's the newest, greatest thing we've ever seen. What about James? Well, I've seen Jett do some of that.
Yeah. James was just amazing. When James hit the racetrack, you wanted to be there to watch because something was going to happen. It was going to be something amazing was going to happen. He's going to do something that nobody else was doing.
Yeah, I remember doing TV and we had a Travis cam. In other words, keep a camera reserved for him. Just keep it on him because I don't know, just something's probably going to happen. We had one for a while there, and I think at one point early in James's career, we had the same deal because we'd miss it a lot. You had to be on those guys. They were really exciting because they just had so much ambition that it didn't matter if their talent matched it. They were going to do it anyway. With Jett and Prado, whom I just mentioned, it seems like their skill level is so high that it's matching their ambition, which is win.
Yeah.
So it's fun to sit back and watch it unfold because I can relate to it, having had people tell me I made it look similar. I'm not saying I'm those guys or anything, but I definitely can relate, so it's more fun for me to see it develop. When I would see somebody doing something I couldn't do yet, I didn't let it bother me at the race, but all during the week, I remember seeing Mike Bell in the Silver Dome in 1980 or 81 roll over a jump out of a corner and just soak it up like it wasn't even there. And I spent like 2 days in that little half-acre lot above our house there.
Yeah.
To learn how to do that. It just fascinated me. Like, how did he do that? Like, it was mind-blowing to me. But I was like, well, if he can do it, I want to try to figure that out and see if I could feel it. And then I'd have you come up there and film me, and did it look like it felt? I just got a golf lesson yesterday, and I don't know how to golf, but I had a little bit of maybe some natural ability to learn how to ride a motorcycle from the beginning. But with golf, I don't know what I'm doing. So here I am, a student now, and it's obvious that if you don't really get uncomfortable and reach out to some spot and backswing the rear, a little bit afraid to go, if you don't try that, if you don't reach for something new, you're not going to get better. And this guy helped me understand that I've just been in a pattern, hit buckets, balls, expecting a different result from practicing, but I'm going to get the same frustrating result. So he just showed me some new stuff and got me to go there, and then that's what I'm going to practice. And that's what I did with the video that you took of me in the early 80s and through the rest of my career, was look at that and then go figure out how to improve it. Not maintain it, improve it. If you maintain it, then you're just going to be in the back, and somebody's going to ride right through you from Loretta's. It won't be long before they're beating you if you don't reach for more. And that's what video should be accomplishing, is how do I see what other people are doing, what I'm doing, which I thought was different, and then go figure that out. That's what I use it for. I like looking at it for style a little bit. I'd figure out gear I liked or didn't like from a distance, things like that, but it was understanding how to fix or do something better because I saw somebody else do it. There's no way in the world I was going to let any time go by where I didn't figure that out myself. I wanted to learn how to do everything.
Well, good. What's interesting the most about this, and when people watch this video, they're going to find that I did my piece, have it all done, ready to go, and now it's David Bailey, chime in, let's hear what you got. and I think we're very much on the same track.
Well, good.
Yeah.
I don't want it to be confusing, and I come in with some opposite thing, but it really comes down to fundamentals and making sure that you understand what you're doing in the first place before you move on to something else, before you start going faster. And you taught me that from the beginning, and we think alike,
Yeah.
It's we don't have to go to every race and be like, I know you keep an eye on it, so do I. And it's really cool when we share opinions and you point the stuff out I didn't notice and vice versa, but mostly we agree on everything.
Yeah. Well, David, I appreciate you taking a little bit out of your busy day.
No, it's always fun to chat about what's going on out there, and it was a really special time in my life.
Right.
And to start from scratch and get good and then see it when I was a little guy and then see it when I was doing TV and watch it now. It's just evolved to a point where if I kept racing, I guess that's what it would look like,
Yeah.
That's the trajectory that we were on, and these guys have just taken it more. And so as somebody who's done it, it's really neat to see where it is now.
Okay, last tip. If you're the sign girl, never have your back to the racetrack and don't step out there when 450s are coming. And good job, Cooper Webb. That was heads up, buddy. Oh, for her, heads down.